I didn't really believe my house was haunted. That is, until my Christmas lights started flashing a coded message. It's Christmas again. After last year I'm not certain it'll ever be the same for me again, but then again, I'm not certain how many more I actually have anyway. I'm an old man. I don't know what a Reddit even is, but after I told my grandson what was happening, he told me that after it was over, if I write it down on paper, he knows exactly where he can retype it and post it on the internet. He's the only other person who knows exactly what happened. Like I said before, I'm old. I'm 84 years old now, but if I had $1 for every time someone told me I'm a good 84 inches, well, I'd probably be able to buy something nice. I'm fairly healthy. I still walk without a cane, not even a shred of dementia, and apparently I still have cartilage in all my joints because they don't hurt. I'm also a widower. My wife of 63 years died 2 years ago of natural causes, so I'm on my own now, and that's kind of where we begin. After my wife's death, I decided it was time to downgrade. I decided to move into a much smaller condo than our old house. I just didn't need all of those things anymore. It didn't take me long to find a new place, surprisingly. After only a couple of weeks I found a unit in a pleasant subdivision that, I thought, was going to be out of my range, but for whatever reason this place was roughly half the price of the others. I figured I'd have a look. My oldest son tried to warn me it was probably a skidder, or some hidden reason why it's so cheap, but I told him not to worry. Like I said, my marbles are still all there, so I'm not about to get scammed on some skidder condo unit. I showed up for the showing, and it wasn't a skidder. Quite the opposite, actually. This place was clean and bright, like it had been renovated within the past few years. It had 2 bedrooms, which I wanted for when family comes to visit, and an upstairs loft where I could put a pull-out sofa or something if I had multiple guests. It wasn't anything special, to be honest, but I didn't get the vibe it was a skidder, or had ever been a skidder actually, but there's only so much you can see. It's what's behind the walls where things can get scary. So, the agent and I are in the kitchen and I say, let's be blunt, what's with the price? I don't actually say sitter, but I mention the price being low, too low for this area. It's because nobody seems to stay here, she said. She was blunt herself. What do you mean? I asked her. I'm just basing this off what people have said, she started. People have claimed it's haunted. I stare at her for a minute, not sure if she's serious. There aren't any reports of anyone actually seeing anything, but things like lights flickering, strange noises, voices, shadow people. I cut her off and asked her what shadow people meant. You know, you think you see something in the corner of your eye and when you look, it's gone. Even the last person to live here just up and left. Vanished. We never heard from him again. Now, I'm pretty skeptical. In my 84 years I've never had any experience that makes me think ghosts are real, so honestly, being haunted doesn't actually deter me at this point. How do I know there aren't bigger issues, plumbing, or water damage, or something I can't see? I asked her, playing hardball. She proceeded to show me dozens of home inspections over the past few prospective buyers, all on her tablet. In my day, she'd have had a briefcase with hard copies of them all. How times change. Anyway, we're looking through things, and she's showing me reports, including multiple electricians who, as recently as 6 months prior, can't find a thing wrong with the electric that might be causing flickering or power surges. From what I'm seeing, everything is turning out on this place. I'm thinking to myself, if this place is so cheap because it's haunted, I'm the one scamming them. So, I decide to take one last little tour by myself while she heads outside. The living room is right inside the front door, then the kitchen. There's a little hallway between the living room and kitchen, with a bedroom on either side, leading to a staircase up to the loft. I turned on lights and left them on, I ran water out of all the faucets, and I flushed the toilets. There was no sign of any nefarious spirit activity, so I'm just about sold at this point. I take a few days to think about it and get back with the agent to tell her I'll take it. It's the end of November when I'm moving in a couple of weeks later. I left out to my family the part about the ghosts. I wanted to avoid dealing with whatever they'd say. To me, it was a stupid reason not to proceed. Anyway, things are good for a few weeks, but after about the middle of the 3rd week, that's when it started. I'm standing in my kitchen mixing my food. I was warming up when the overhead light flickered. It flickered multiple times. Normally, I wouldn't think much of it. In my old house the lights would flicker when I ran the microwave sometimes, but the thing is I hadn't run the microwave in a few minutes. Nothing was running that might have taxed the electricity at that point. So, the light flickers a couple of times, and I'm standing there thinking, you son of a gun, house. I didn't believe in haunting, so I'm still skeptical at this point. It's just ironic. The lights don't flicker again until the next week, but by then some other things had started, though I didn't know at the time what they meant. I kept waking up at the same time every night. My clock always read 3:33 a.m. when my eyes would seemingly just open. This went on for about a week, and it was starting to upset me off. I wasn't getting good sleep either, when I did get some. And this was something else I didn't realize. I kept dreaming about people needing help. There were ship captains and sailors drowning in the water who required me to toss them a lifesaver floaty. There were people on the side of the road with a flat tire. There were people in a fire that were trapped. The situations differed, but they all seemed to be focusing on the need to be helped or saved. Something I did notice, however, was that the people I was dreaming about I didn't recognize. I never forget a face, let me tell you, and I can sit here and tell you I had never seen any of those people before I was dreaming about. Even though I'm old and don't surf the internet, I have heard the theory that you only dream about people you've seen in your life. That part had me a little worried, but at the same time I'm no sleep expert. Maybe it didn't mean anything. It's getting close to Christmas at this point, so I buy myself a brand new fake tree. It's pre-lit and everything, easy peasy, pull it out of the box and stand it up. Now this damn tree is what made me a believer. I set the thing up that day and plug her in and put the few ornaments that I have that are special to me on it and let it be. That night I turn it on, it's in my living room in front of the window, where everyone puts their trees, and sit on my couch with my Kindle. I can't believe we read books on computers now. So, I'm sitting there and the lights on the tree start flashing, blinking on and off. I think to myself, God damn it. The lights hadn't flickered in a while, it had seemed, and we're right back at it with my brand new tree. I get up off the couch and go out to the garage to get the box. I'm thinking to myself, Christmas decorations all flash these days, maybe somehow I turned the feature on. So, I bring the box in, and I am looking for instructions and don't really see anything. The man at the store didn't mention either that the tree even had an option to make the lights flash. At this point, it had been about 5 minutes and the lights were still blinking. The flickering lights before had never lasted this long. I sit back down, pondering my next move. Do I return it? Do I call an electrician finally? I decide I'm going to just turn the tree off at this point and figure it out tomorrow. As I stand up, something catches my eye. I don't know what made me think of it or how I even noticed, but there was something off about how the lights were blinking. After watching it for another minute or two, I noticed a repeating pattern. 3 quick flashes, 3 longer flashes, then 3 quick flashes. Over and over. This hits me like a ton of bricks. I didn't mention it before, but I was in the Navy, I'm familiar with Morse code. But I guess you don't have to know anything about Morse code to know its most well-known call. I don't want to believe it, I can't believe it, but I'll be damned if my Christmas tree isn't calling out an SOS. At this point, I realize this place isn't right. I did get scammed. They were right. This place is haunted. Suffice it to say, I didn't sleep that night. The next day I called my youngest grandson, who's in his mid-20s, to tell him what's going on. He's into ghosts and scary stories and the paranormal. I explained the history of the place, flickering lights, past tenants up and leaving in the middle of the night, strange dreams, etc. Honestly, Pops, this is textbook, he said. Flickering lights, waking up at the same time every night, especially in the 3 a.m. hour, strange dreams, it sounds like someone, or something, is trying to communicate with you from the other side. The other side, Christ. I ask him what I should do. We have to be meticulous, he starts. I notice right away he said, we. He was all in at this point. We don't know what it is. It sounds like it's human, given you're dreaming about multiple people. But it could also be a trick. It could be something much worse, trying to trick you into inviting it into this realm. I can come over tomorrow, and we can have a look around. There might be something hidden in your place that might help us. How can we know? I asked him. Tonight, if your tree flashes like that again, ask it out loud what it means. Whatever it is can probably hear you, it just can't talk to you. If it responds, ask it elementary, obvious questions. I really think I should be there, he added. I didn't want him there if things went to the crapper. You just come tomorrow like we planned. If the tree responds tonight, I'll fill you in. I won't do anything without you. I wait until about 8:30 p.m. that night to start our little experiment. It's plenty dark out, so I flip on the tree and wait. I left the tidbit out, but my grandson mentioned spirits are more active at night, so this is why I decided to wait until evening. Anyway, after a couple of minutes, sure as stuff, my tree starts sending out SOS again. At this point, I'm nervous, but I wouldn't say scared. I see your SOS, I call out to nobody. I'm not entirely sure what I should say at this point. As I speak, though, the flashing stops. Do you need help? The tree lights flash again in a different sequence. I don't catch it at first, I'm rustier than I thought. Hang on, I say out loud. It stops flashing. I go and get my cell phone and bring it to the living room. I Google Morse code, and it immediately brings up a cheat sheet. Technology these days is wonderful. I know I keep saying that, but I just can't get over it. Okay, try again. The tree begins its sequence again. I write it down on my notepad I have on the table next to the couch. I'm making this a little bit easier to read. The indicates the break between each letter. There is a long flash, there is a short flash. Long flash, short, long, long, Y short, E short, 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 S yes. I had asked it if it needed my help. Where are you? I asked. The tree lights flashed in the following sequence. Long flash, T short, long, short, R short, long, A short, long, long, short, P same, P short, E long, short, short, D trapped. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I can't believe this is happening. Honestly, part of me thought maybe it wasn't, and I really was starting down the road towards Alzheimer's or dementia or just plain old losing my mind. The tree lights started flashing on their own again. I studied it for a few cycles before picking it up. Short, 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 long, V short, long, A long, short, N short, short, I long, T long, short, long, long, Y vanity. I didn't know exactly what that meant at the time. I know what vanity is, but at that point I was losing my mind. I needed to be done. I decided I would sleep out in the van that night. It's a full-size conversion van, we used it for trips. Despite the time of year, with a couple of blankets it wasn't that cold out. Not only that, it was some of the best sleep I'd had since I moved in, probably because I pulled it out onto the street. No dreams, no noises, no waking up. My grandson came over the next morning as planned. I told him what had happened. Vanity, he said, like, the emotion, the ghost is vain, maybe. I reiterated to him, I sure as hell didn't know. Hey, wait a minute, he said, his face brightening. The vanity in the bathroom, perhaps. I have two bathrooms, the main one and the little one in the master bedroom. We go to the main bathroom first. There actually isn't a vanity in here, it's mostly just a sink with a small counter to put your stuff like toothbrushes etc. So, we go to the master bath next, and this must be what it was talking about. The vanity is decent size, it has double sinks and plenty of counter space. It has two large doors to put all your crap underneath, so you don't have to see it. Let's open it up and see if anything looks strange, my grandson said. Since I hadn't lived here but a few weeks, I didn't have much under there yet. What do you think we're looking for? I asked. I'm sitting on the toilet hunched over while he's kneeling looking into the vanity. There's definitely nothing out of the ordinary here, he said. But, he paused. I wonder. He fiddled around with the bottom floor of the vanity. Then he touched the back panels. There were two of them separated in the middle. The one on the left wiggled. It gave it a harder press, and it fell back, revealing a hole in the wall. I knew it, he exclaimed. He shined my flashlight into the open hole in the wall. There are some things in there, he said. He crawled into the vanity. Be careful now, damn it, I snap. He starts. Nope, 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 he starts backing out, he's got something. No, he continues. Hell no. He holds up what he has and starts standing up. It's an Ouija board. This is out of here, he says. I'm putting it in the trash and wheeling your bin out of your garage. I have a general idea of what Ouija boards do. Why exactly has that got you so frazzled? I asked him. I guarantee whatever is going on in this place, this thing here, is what started it. He took it out and came back a minute or so later. There's something else in there, he said, crawling back in. He came out with a small, weathered book in his hand. He opens it up and flips through a couple of pages. This looks like a diary, he said. There are a lot of entries in here talking about the same things you're experiencing. We leafed through some pages together, sitting on my bed. This book has entries dated back 20 years. We checked the first couple pages for any clues, and sure enough we found some. I will share a couple of tidbits here. There are more to these entries, but I'll just include the important parts. October 20th, 1996. Our research seems to have finally paid off. We found a spirit we can probably summon. We just need a way to communicate with it. October 22nd, 1996. Christine brought home an Ouija board. Of course. October 27th, 1996. Something has been talking to us through the board and told us how to invite him in. Based on our research of spirit behavior, if we answer its question, it'll be bound to us and grant us a wish. October 31st, 1996. Tonight is the night. We're going to summon tonight. We have it figured out. It's going to ask us a riddle. If we answer it correctly, it's bound to us and must do as we command. If we answer wrong, drawing of skull and crossbones. After my grandson and I read these couple entries, he looks up at me worried. Pops, 100% chance this thing they tried to summon is a demon. I ask him how we even know this is real. We flipped through some pages. Years of entries were of people writing about the same thing. Over time, more and more was discovered about this supposed demon. Apparently, it was bound to this house. My grandson said demons like to bind themselves to people, but this wasn't unheard of. Several owners of my house corroborate that this thing is, in fact, able to be summoned. There were entries from people adding to the backstory of this thing. There were entries of people stating their intent to summon it. There were taunts from people towards previous owners who obviously failed the creature's riddle. There were entries of people asking how anybody could be stupid enough to try to summon the creature with intent to gain riches, and entries of people were saying they're getting the hell out of here. These entries were all the way through the 2000s until now. My grandson and I spent a few good hours looking through this book. We uncovered two vital pieces of information. One, it is, in fact, a demon of some kind, and despite their lies and treachery, answering its riddle did, in fact, bind it to you. However, it was imperative you phrased it correctly and told it exactly what you wanted. If you wanted to be invisible, make sure it didn't make you invisible permanently. Or don't wish for $1 million car. Wish for the car and also that no one will ever ask where you got it. 2. Answering its riddle incorrectly, which as far as I could tell was everyone who went up against it at that point, bound you to it. Meaning, essentially, your soul was his, and you'd be trapped with it in this house forever. This is heavy, Pops. My grandson said, I think we just need to get out of here. You need to move. Here, I said, give me that diary. I wanted to look at the last person before me to see if they wrote anything. They had. March 18, 2018. I'm going to summon him tonight. I know exactly what I'm going to wish. Those poor souls locked up here for decades. This has to end. Now. God be with me. Susan, I'm sorry. He tried to take it on, my grandson said. I wonder what his wish would have been. It sounds like it would have been something selfless. He lost. Poor son of a gun. That's where he went then, I guess, I said, remembering the agent had said the previous owner vanished almost overnight. I'm taking it on, less than name hidden greater than, I told him. What? No, you're not. Why, look what he wrote. He tried to save everyone before him, I said. I flipped some more pages. Here's another one saying someone else wanted to get rid of it. At this point, I can't just move. I'm a believer now, knowing there's people trapped here, in eternal damnation. This thing is going to keep taking. It has to be stopped. What if they brought it on themselves? He asked. Some did, some didn't. Sure, they all summoned it, but some not for personal gain. Knowing there is even one person trapped here who tried to summon it to kill it is enough for me. I can't turn my back on them now. The riddle could be anything. Even a trick. You're going to need my help. The hell I am, I say sternly. We have the usual argument you see on TV. He's as stubborn as I am. I'm just going to summon it myself then, right now, he said. I concede. Okay, after Christmas, then, so we don't ruin everyone's holiday if we lose. 3 days from now, come over at night, and we'll summon him. We won't lose, he said. I'll do nothing but study the internet for riddles the next few days. Christmas Day, we can finalize our game plan. We spent a few more hours together that day doing non-ghost related things. He left in the afternoon, and I got to work. I know what you're thinking, and I'll take this time to apologize to you, less than name hidden greater than. What the hell grandfather would I be if I summoned a demon with my grandson and put him in that kind of danger willingly? I didn't, and never intended to. I told him 3 days from now, so we could work on our plan, but the truth is I was summoning it alone the very next night. I formulated my plan, which basically just equated to answering the riddle correctly. After 84 years, I think I've seen and heard a few things. I felt my odds were good. The next day was it. Judgment Day. I went about my day doing normal things and getting ready for Christmas dinner. We would be breaking in my new place with a fat turkey. At 6:30 p.m., I took the turkey out and put it on the counter. It was frozen and needed to thaw. I would summon at 7:30. 7:30 rolled around, and I took the diary with the instructions on how to summon the creature. You had to cut your hand with a knife, smear blood on a closed door, then recite the invitation. I decided to use my main bathroom door. The creature did have a name, it was very strange to read and say, but for obvious reasons I'm not telling anyone. The original incantation to summon it and bind it to the house was different anyway. I step up to the door. I cut my palm with a steak knife, just like you see in the movies, and smear it on the door. Less than demon's name here greater than, accept this blood offering. Open this door and enter this realm. I invite you in of my own free will. Nothing happened. I decide to go into the kitchen to tend to my hand. I'm cleaning it out and getting ready to wrap it when I hear the bathroom door open behind me. I turn around and see a creature of pure shadow. It's total blackness, not an ounce of color. It looked humanoid, but what should have been its arms were far too long. They also looked somehow contorted. I couldn't make out any discernible legs. It was as if it were wearing an oversized kilt of total shadow. And it was floating in the air. It floated towards me slowly. It was about 6 or so inches off the ground. Good evening, it said softly. Its voice was smooth and took me off guard. I was expecting something raspy or deathly sounding, or at least a lot deeper. You know the rules. Yes, I said, ask me your question. I'm still standing at my sink. Give me something warm, I'll cool it down. Give me something cold, I'll warm it up. What am I? That was a tricky one all right. I started thinking things over right away. I'm sure you smart internet folks already have an answer. Give up, it asked hopefully. I joke you not, it asked if I gave up after literally 10 seconds. Hell no, I don't give up, I told it. I'm thinking about it. I started thinking about appliances for some reason. Microwaves or ovens certainly warm things up. But you don't put something in the oven to make it cold. Stupid. The weather maybe. I mean, going outside in winter or summer could change the temperature of something. Then again, also only one way. You don't go outside when it's 95 degrees out and get cooled down. Most of the things I was thinking about were one or the other, not capable of making things both warm and cold. What about water? When it's hot, jumping into the pool feels great. When it's cold, the hot tub feels wonderful. But that's getting pretty specific. I'm thinking to myself, there's too much variation in potential temperatures of water to be able to heat up or cool down something at the same time. Too much thinking, it's a riddle, the answer will be simple. Time's almost up, it said. Honestly, at this point, I'm surprisingly unconcerned for my own well-being. Something else enters my mind. My grandson. He's going to notice I'm missing immediately. He's going to find the blood on the door, he will know what I did and that I failed. He'll then try to summon it himself to save me. That I simply could not allow. I think harder. I know my time is running out. I glance to my right and see the turkey thawing out on the counter, thick with condensation already. It's not going to get eaten. It's going to sit on that counter for 2 or 3 days now, getting warmer and warmer, and be spoiled by Christmas. Oh my God, that's it. I have it. I know the answer. It just popped in there at that exact moment. Time's up, it cooed. I have an answer, I tell it. It appeared to straighten up, as if it had been hunched over slightly. Your room temperature. The silence was deafening, as they say. A good 10 seconds go by, though it feels like an hour, before it speaks again. What is it that you desire most? It asked. It sounded very annoyed. Immortality. Deceased family returned to life. Riches beyond compare. Make your wish. I didn't want any of that bullshit. Why in the hell would I want to live forever while I watch the rest of my family, my kids, grandkids, greats, and so on all come and go? My wife had her time on this world. As have I don't even know how many years I have left. Bringing her back now only for us to probably die again in a couple of years wouldn't be intelligent. I'll see her again. As for riches, I didn't have any need for that either. We all make our own way in this world. Get-rich-quick schemes never work, and asking a demon to make it happen is bound to end badly. No, I had something else in mind. Something better. Here's what I want, and you listen carefully, I began. You're bound to me now, and you will do as I say. And I say you go back to whatever spirit realm you came from. Go back and never return. But before you do, you're going to release every soul that you have imprisoned. Their spirits are to go free immediately, so they can finally face their final judgment before God Almighty Himself. He'll decide where they go, not you. The creature didn't speak again. After a few seconds, it slowly started floating backwards. There was a whooshing kind of sound, and it was gone. I stood in my kitchen for a couple of minutes, wrapping my hand up. I decided I would go to the local it looked like I might need a couple of stitches. Don't believe the movies where the main character slices their hand and ignores it. Christ, that hurt. Anyway, I did need stitches. I lied, of course, and said I was getting the turkey ready early for Christmas. They bought it, of course. They get more hand slices and cuts on Thanksgiving and Christmas than the rest of the year combined. When I got home, I burned the diary out on my cement patio. I called my grandson the next day and told him. He was disappointed, of course, but he's old enough to understand. You don't put the ones you love in danger, no matter how much help they may be. He wanted to know everything, what the riddle was, more importantly, how I figured it out. I told him I was looking at the turkey thinking how it was going to keep warming up until it sat out too long and spoiled. Then it hit me, if it were cooked, it would come out of the oven hot. If I set it out and left it on the counter the same way, it would get cold. That's the thing about room temp, regardless of what temperature something may be, it'll eventually all be the same if it sits out long enough. He asked if anything felt different about my house now, and even after only one day, it really did. The atmosphere seemed lighter. I wouldn't say I ever had feelings of dread in my house, but I just had this feeling that things were okay now. It's hard to explain. Everything just felt right. Well, that's about the end of my little tale, I guess. That was almost a year ago exactly. Like I said, Christmas will always be a little different for me after that. It serves as a reminder. I often wonder if I should have been greedy in making my wish. Whenever I start thinking, though, I just tell myself no, I made the right one. Since that night, there hasn't been one thing out of the ordinary in my house. No more flickering lights, no more dreams, no more waking up, no more Christmas trees sending out Morse code. Hell, when you think about it, now that all the paranormal stuff is gone, I guess I was the one after all who was the scammer. I have this great condo in a subdivision I could never have afforded. I guess I didn't need to make a deal with any devil to have things turn out just fine. Subscribe and please like. Thanks for tuning in and listening.